Yo, you see the city? San Paro. Lots of craziness, lots of opportunities, lots of choices, but only one that matters. Be a somebody or be a nobody.
When we looked at online action games, which we're all big fans of, we always got the feeling that you're just, at the end of the day, you're just a generic character. And even though you're a real person behind the generic character, you kind of look the same as everybody else. So we really wanted to give players the absolute freedom to create a really high quality gaming character, the kind of thing that really traditional game artists would create. Give them the tools to create something really high quality, with such a degree of variety that they could be identified from 100 other thousand people, just like in real life.
It's really based on player-to-player conflict. We've got 3 core pillars for the game, which are conflict, creativity, and celebrity. The conflict is achieved through player versus player missions and other sorts of matchups, criminal versus enforcer or criminal versus criminal. The creativity has a lot more to do with our advanced customization systems, vehicles, characters, music, all kinds of stuff. And the celebrity kind of feeds out of the other two. So the combat in APB is it's a third-person shooter with pixel-precise targeting. We're fairly latency resistant, up to 250 to 300 milliseconds. It's still playable. Arresting is an enforcer-only mechanic where normally when you die in APB, you respawn in about 8 seconds, about 100 meters away, and then can rejoin the action. When an enforcer manages to arrest a criminal, they're kept in the arrested state longer before they respawn. In order to arrest a criminal, an enforcer has to stun them and then advance on the criminal, get up to them, and perform the arrest on them, which exposes them the entire time. Then the criminal's arrested for 10 to 15 seconds, during which another criminal can free them if they get there in time, and they go right back into the action. If they don't succeed in doing so, then they respawn, as they would have if they'd died.
I think everybody was under the assumption that there'll be a much heavier bias towards criminals, because most games, kind of open world games, have gone the criminal route. Seems to be more interesting, more things to do. But we've made enforcers very, very cool in the game, and in our beta right now, we're seeing virtually a 50-50 split, which is great. Criminals
prey on the city, the citizens, the shops, the businesses in the city. Enforcers prey on the criminals, and we've designed the mechanics with that in mind. Criminals can mug pedestrians, ram shop fronts to gather goods to sell to their contact for profit, and arson, bombs, etc. Whereas enforcers really prey on the criminals. They confiscate stolen goods and return them to impound, or better yet, find criminals, catch them in the act, witness them, and then engage them in PvP. We like to say that the only choices you make that are permanent are your gender and your faction, and everything other than that you can change. We have extensive body customization available, including tattoos, scars, the shape of your iris, the color, etc. As well as the ability to fully customize your vehicles, your clothing, the way the clothing layers, create symbols that you can project into the world, as well as tattoos onto your car, onto your clothes. And finally, you can even make songs and themes. Now, death themes are something that you can create customized in our game, and then other players hear them when you kill or arrest them. And when you win a mission, everybody hears it. We made it so that absolutely anything in the game, either players created or they've earned, can go on the marketplace and be sold. So we treat it like crafting. Crafting's a big thing in a lot of these kind of big online games, more the role-playing games. So, but what we want to do is actually make crafting that involves skill, because typically up to now it hasn't. So, one of the things I think that will happen in our game is clans will actually not just look for the best players, but look for some really good, for example, artists who can make them a very cool-looking outfit. And those people in those clans can then, if they create great symbols or they get approached by other clans, they can have a designer that can do complete outfits for other clans. They can just decide to make one-offs, list them on the marketplace. Maybe they'll make most of their money in the game that way, rather than by just taking part in the combat. So we've got 2 different types of districts primarily. We've got the social district, where players can go to customize, to trade with each other on the marketplace, to hang out, or to advertise their own wares. And then we have the action districts. Now there's 2 of those right now. One is the financial district. It's a large urban center with skyscrapers, lots of money, and the main conflict there is between the G-Kings, which is a skate punk gang, and the Praetorians, which is a more of a corporate metal ex-military enforcement group. And then we have the waterfront, which is a bit more warehouses and hotels and casinos. And in the waterfront, the 2 major forces there are the Blood Roses, which are a noir club criminal gang that does a lot of trafficking along the river, and the Apprentice Tigers, which are more of an athletic background, neighborhood watch program, if you will.
You've probably seen a lot of outcry in the PC market about, people taking away dedicated servers from players. And those are dedicated servers that players seem quite happy to run at their own cost. So there's definitely, people want high quality online experiences, They don't want, terrible lobbies, terrible disconnects, queuing for games for a long time. So, so for that reason, we knew that there was a demand there. We knew that online multiplayer gaming was never going away, it's just going to grow and grow and grow. So we just made the decision that, let's bring it all in-house, let's make sure it's completely controlled, and make sure players always have a great experience in terms of the servers, and hopefully that they'll agree that, we can offer something that's value for money for doing that. We have lofty ambitions post-launch. So we just wanted to make sure we achieved enough at launch. And because I think actually people had massive expectations, because you kept hearing the term bandied about, it's kind of like GTA meets World of Warcraft, it's like a GTA MMO. So in some respects, you can't possibly deliver something like a brand new game that would meet those kind of expectations. But what we have done, I believe, is actually built a great foundation that, there's a lot of activity in the game right now. There's a tremendous amount of of gameplay time in there. But more importantly, and the players are telling us right now, they're getting excited about all the possibilities where this game can go. So it's just achieving that right balance, just the right amount to launch with, and just the amount to get people excited by. If you do this, if we do this, what about this idea? Have you thought about this? And we're getting a lot of that great feedback now. I'm Dave Jones, creative director from Real Time Worlds. Just finishing APB, and I hope to see you all pretty soon on the streets of San Paulo, hopefully in June.